This channel has not held back in criticizing Israel from for its response or almost lack thereof since October 7th. Um, you know, we on October 9th titled an episode of one of our shows Why Israel Can't Win, and we were not talking about military capabilities. We're talking about the fact that Israel is kind of listens too much to the advice of those who want to see it wiped off the map. Uh, Today is an exception. Today, really, the past 24 hours, Israel has done two operations that, yeah, only killed two people out of the many, many who want to see the Jews wiped off the map, want to see a second Holocaust. But uh, those two were high up in the killing all the Jews rankings, and also the nature of the operations were significant. They were bold. They were in capital cities of countries where Israel is expected not to operate. It got widespread condemnations, interesting responses from some media outlets that are supposedly neutral but clearly are not, and neutrality I would not say is a virtue in this case anyway. But yeah, Israel has killed the number two in command in Hamas and the number one in command in number two in Hezbollah, number one in Hamas, right? What was I saying? Anyway, so we are here to celebrate that. Welcome to the reality show. I'm joined by Daniel and Jonathan. Jonathan, you're in Israel. Are people celebrating in the streets?
Yeah, well, I didn't see anything on first-hand basis, but I've seen people handing out baklava, which is a Turkish Arab treat. There's a lot of happiness, and it's very much justified. These two men, have a lot of Israeli blood on their hands. They had a lot of Israeli blood, so it's a good thing that we celebrate their deaths. And it comes only because, unfortunately, 13 kids had to die. So there's that as well. I don't think it's enough, but nevertheless, it's a positive thing that we should celebrate. Good riddance, and hopefully this brings us closer to victory. The voices, I listen a lot to the media. I was following since yesterday night. There was a lot of speculation if the guy died in Beirut. Then I woke up in the morning, uh, and then that got that news about Hania. So it's quite an interesting streak of good news. So people are happy. I'm happy, but we will see what the responses are like. There's a lot of uncertainty. We have Netanyahu address in a few minutes. Maybe he'll reveal some new developments as well. So we'll see. But yeah, it's a good thing. We should celebrate that for sure.
Yeah, by the way, I also was watching Israeli media until I couldn't tolerate it anymore because they're really not very pro-Israel. But I also woke up to the news actually from I don't know if Christian Klein is in the chat here, but the first time I saw this was I opened Facebook and I saw his post about it, and then I went to see the news, and yeah, very good news to wake up to. Daniel.
So for the last few years, I generally had just a really good time. Everything is going well in life. So when I come on these shows and we have to talk about Israel, which is mostly disappointing when it comes to what Israel is doing. So that brought me a bit down. So I was kind of like I was still positive but sort of neutral. But I woke up today. I'm not sure what exactly I saw as a news. I think it was someone sending a WhatsApp message. I might have gotten some news, but when I saw that the fact that Ismail Haniyeh has been assassinated, I couldn't believe it. Then once I knew, I had more confirmation. Once I saw the Wikipedia article change everything from he is to he was, I knew this is actually official. And yeah, so today my whole day has been celebratory basically. Mm, One thing I was asking Razi is what's our budget for celebrations? Because I wanted to pop a champagne. I mean, this is something to celebrate. And something I would tell to Israel now is don't stop. Keep continuing. One more thing that sort of got lost in the news because of yesterday's Beirut attack and today's assassination of Ismail Haniyeh is the fact that also Ismail al-Ghul has been has been basically yeah, killed in Gaza. For those who don't know, we made an episode about him 4 months ago. He is Al Jazeera journalist, but his whole career has been fabricated. He's basically a Hamas soldier, a Hamas supporter that has been acting as a uh, as a as a journalist. So yeah, uh, now Israel should continue because again, yesterday they bombed a capital city of Lebanon and killed a second in command of Hezbollah, and that is now old news. That got lost immediately because Israel has done something more. It should keep continuing. Imagine if this has happened, if on October 7th, Israel would have struck Qatar and killed Hamas leadership. On October 8th, bomb Hezbollah preemptively. October 9th, bomb Houthis before they even try to do anything. Imagine if this was like the whole week. I mean, that would be something. Uh, so
Yeah.
yeah, I hope this is not many people sort of were saying that, Israel is sort of like using the fact that, as Jonathan mentioned, 13 children die to sort of like now they have, in a sense, like a credit and they can get away with this on the international stage. And I hope that's not true. I hope this was an operation that was prepared ahead of time. I mean, something like that seems like it's not really day-to-day decisions. This looks like an operation that has to be planned. So I hope this has been planned for a long time. And yeah, and they are doing them one after another. I mean, basically every day we got one. I mean, I'm just really I'm hoping watching the news and I'd like to see more.
Yeah, let's hope this becomes old news very quickly. Yeah, as I was saying on the Daily Objective, our topic for today was the killing of Shukr in Beirut, but we changed it because Hania is higher up. Yeah, let's make it Sinwar tomorrow. We are prepared if they want to do it at 5:29 p.m. UK time. We can change the topic last minute. We're ready. So you mentioned Ismail Al-Ghul, who we talked about on this channel, and his Twitter has this tweet. Now it's in Arabic, and I used the Google translation that Twitter offers from Arabic, but this is from like 6 hours ago. Uh, in a sad atmosphere, the camp bids farewell to the great patriotic man from the ruins of the house of Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh in the Shati camp west of Gaza City. So, as he was tweeting this, he also was sent to join Ismail Haniyeh and the 144 virgins that were eagerly awaiting their arrival. Um, and yeah, this is it's nice that this was his parting gift from the world. A tweet like this, somebody who again was considered an Al Jazeera journalist. We covered that. We of course heard of that from Ethan Fishberger, a friend of the channel, and somebody who, if you're not following on Twitter, you absolutely should be following. Um, and yeah, because he gets information about stuff like that so frequently that we can't do shows about all of it, and we do a lot of shows. So yeah, good stuff happening. Thank you, John Was, for the super chat. John says wonderful news indeed. And yeah, two pieces of wonderful news. What is What is coming next is a question which might involve some news that isn't going to be so good. I know people in Israel are worried, and again, it brings us back to Israelis had to die for each of these operations that were fully justifiable a week ago, a month ago, a year ago. This guy Hania, of course, sat in an Israeli prison, as have many of the people in leadership or foot soldiers or anywhere in between in Hamas. Um, so yeah, is Israel now sitting around waiting for the Iranians and their proxies to do real damage before it takes it to the next level, with which would include, alongside assassinations of leaders, also damaging the ability of these entities to strike? Jonathan.
Yes. I was also reading the chairman of the Islamic Jihad was in this very same building that Hania was. And I would ask the question, why was he spared? I would also, I understand that there was also Houthi leaders there. All of them should have been sent to their virgins alongside Hania there. And look, Israel has a very long history of assassinating leaders of Hamas, leaders of Fatah, leaders of many of our enemies. But October 7th happened after all of that. So it's really hard for me to be so happy and cheerful about this. We will There will be a retaliation by Hezbollah. I'm doubtful that we will respond properly, as we have not responded properly for almost 300 days now. And the Mr. Hania and that guy from Hezbollah should have died 30 years ago. So it's hard for me to be so cheerful as Razi. I know you want me to be, but our soldiers are still there fighting. The deaths of the people from October 7th have not been avenged for. There was no justice. Killing Hania is an act of justice, but there is so much more justice that needs to be made. The fact that there are so many buildings in Gaza still standing, the fact that there are so many parts of Gaza still, when Hamas is operating and they are still targeting our soldiers. And what's going on in Lebanon, you have 150,000 citizens of the north who don't live in their houses now. There are those who stayed are in constant danger by Hezbollah rockets and anti-tank missiles and drones. So it's not a very good situation that we're here, and I don't see how we have a strategy of really bringing safety and peace to Israel. That maybe is a good, well, it is certainly a good thing. It's a just act, but it's very far from what needs to be done. It's miles away.
I'm in a very unusual position of being the voice of optimism here, but I will be. After we go to Daniel, there was also a comment about the hostages that I want to respond to. But thank you, Apollo Zeus, for gifting an Ayn Rand Center UK YouTube membership. Thank you, Jeff Bannister, for the super chat. Jeff says, let's celebrate. This is my favorite type of celebration. It's on YouTube with super chats. Daniel.
So something to think about and not to go too much into conspiracy land. So something that happened in the past, I don't know how far ago it happened, but the fact that the Iranian president died in a crash, supposedly. But no one has claimed anything. It's supposedly a crash. But the fact, so for those who don't know, the reason why Ismail Haniyeh was in Iran currently was that basically a new president has been picked, and yeah, that thing was happening. And yeah, something that Jonathan mentioned is, yeah, there were many other leaders, like you mentioned, the leader of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad was there, uh, many Houthi leaders. So why wasn't there something bigger, something much stronger? I mean, I'm not sure, but does Iran have like a designated survivor thing? Do they have like one person that is out of the building when they do their sessions? Because that would send a strong message. And again, something maybe to go more on Jonathan's note, something that was very disappointing from this is right after this assassination, the only international comments we got were from authoritarian nations, were from dictatorships, basically giving their condolences for and basically condemning this assassination. And the one nation that has commented relatively quickly was USA with the comment, "We don't have any stance yet." This this shouldn't be. Israel doesn't have because many people, I think even some European leaders later said this is like a breaking of the international law. Israel has no obligation to these nations or to these people. These are either actual designated terrorist organizations, even by countries such as EU, not countries, but even by organizations such as EU, or completely authoritarian theocracies with no respect for human rights, with no respect for individual rights. They cannot claim any sort of rights. They do not. Israel doesn't have any obligations to them. Israel can mislead, can lie, can do anything it wants to basically get rid of these people as soon as possible. And some people are saying, this is going against this action is going against the fact that Israel is currently negotiating. I'm really hoping all of the negotiation was just to basically let down the guard of Hamas. If something like that were to happen, and if it does, I mean, that would be maybe a dream, but we probably wouldn't hear about it soon because again, Israel shouldn't reveal anything like this. Israel shouldn't tell us that they lied. It should do whatever it can to get rid of as many terrorists as can in as destructive way possible. So yeah, I think this is a good thing, but there are still ways to go, and I hope Israel will take those roads.
Yeah. So a few things. First of all, yeah, the fact that this was done right after the inauguration of the new president, maybe when presumably Khaled Mash'al is inaugurated as Hania's replacement, we can kill one of the guests there as well. Whoever, I mean, whoever did this could kill one of the guests there. I like this. This is a good yeah. By the way, the replacement is likely going to be Khaled Mash'al, who was in that role before Hania and is the basically the other major figure in the political side of things in Hamas. But yeah, they all deserve to die, and hopefully one by one or all at once, Israel will pick them off. Lorpo or Yorpo says, not so clever if we want to get the hostages back, but this government really has no plan to get them back. The worst government we have ever had. I agree with the Jonathan. I'm not sure Jonathan agrees with you, but I have to
Yeah.
say, uh, yeah, look, if you want to say, let's not hit Hamas, let's negotiate with them, ask them what we need to give them in exchange for bringing back the hostages. You are guaranteeing October 7th again and again because they promised it and they already did it once and they already did so much of it before, but in in smaller chunks. Negotiating with Hamas is ensuring the death of many, many thousands of Israelis in the future. And of course, it ensures that hostages will be taken again because you're telling them this is the way to get away with it. Again, Hania wasn't in Israeli prison. Sinwar, who masterminded the attack, was in an Israeli prison and was released in a hostage exchange. What more do you need in order to learn from past mistakes? Is October 7th not enough? Why did they take the hostages in the first place? It's because Israel is considered stupid enough to allow Hamas to exist if Hamas has hostages. So no more negotiations and just kill them. That is the way to go. I think there was something else I wanted to say, but uh, oh yes, yeah, I wanted to um, read this tweet by, this is in English, by the Prime Minister of Qatar. I'm not going to read his name because that's a bit much, but he says, political assassinations and continued targeting of civilians in Gaza while talks continue leads us to ask, how can mediation succeed when one party assassinates a negotiator on the other side? Peace needs serious partners and a global stance against the disregard for human life. The reason this piece of shit can tweet something like this in English and get away with it is because we are pretending that these savages are actually, human beings who deserve to be dealt with as human beings. So the reason he can get away with a global stance against the disregard for human life when Qatar funds these animals as well, the animals who did October 7th, is really astounding. And if we had great leadership in the West, we would hear America, besides the fact that they would congratulate whoever did the operation in Tehran and congratulate Israel for Beirut, they would also condemn this guy and say, "Are you fucking serious?" But I don't expect to hear that, and not just because politicians don't swear when the cameras are on. Jonathan.
Yeah, I want to comment on the hostages, the thing. I agree that it's a terrible government. I don't think, as Razi said, we should try to appease Hamas or the Palestinians because it's impossible to appease them. What they want is our own destruction. The way to truly appease them is to pack up and go back to Poland or wherever you came from. That is the ultimate way to appease them. So don't think that you can negotiate with them on anything other than that. That's what they want. And if you want to give them some of the murderers who did October 7th back, it's a huge act of injustice for their victims, all the people they raped and murdered and burned alive. And it'll, as Razi said, it will only bring forward more destruction and more death, as we've seen in history. So we've seen in history that appeasement doesn't work. We tried to appease Hitler, and we've seen that negotiating with these guys specifically doesn't work. It brings more death. So why don't we try to apply reason and rationality and learn from facts of reality, and instead of going by emotion and trying to make us feel good? And I know it's a very terrible situation to be in, parents, friends of people who are taken hostage, but it is irrational.
Um, all right. I earlier when I was watching Israeli news, I heard about, there were explosions in the Damascus area. There were some unconfirmed reports of what that may have been. I mean, it's probably an Israeli strike. I'm not gonna comment on the unconfirmed reports, but maybe we'll hear confirmed reports in the next 35 minutes, and then maybe there will be more reason to celebrate. But anyway, let's continue. Daniel.
I mean, so just so we talk, maybe just talk a little bit more about Haniyeh. So he was the head of Hamas list, basically during the 2006 election, and he won, and he was a prime minister for I think like a year. After that, they took over Gaza. And something that I'm not sure if we talked about, many people, and even on the Wikipedia, many people refer to him as moderate, as he's sort of like a pragmatic moderate trying to reach a deal, uh, which I've always found weird. One thing, he is a head of a terrorist organization. I'm not sure what the moderate can mean. By the way, when they were running on a platform of basically arms struggle against Israel because Fatah was being a bit too passive, a bit too not actually fully going against Israel. So again, what does moderate mean when it comes to a terrorist organization that the only purpose of their is the destruction of Israel. There is nothing moderate about it. And if even if I took that idea at a face value that yeah, maybe he's more willing to negotiate, or he's more moderate, or he seems more reasonable. Again, that's not a good thing. He By having that face, he is in a sense making Hamas, which is a horrible organization, sort of like trying to make it more appealing. That's not good. That's making you even worse. If there is something worse than sort of like a pure evil, is someone trying to mask that pure evil and trying to put a good face on it, that, oh, they are not as bad. They are not actually these ideas can have their face. Uh, that's why even someone like the Palestinian Authority and Mahmoud Abbas are bad, because we know what the Palestinians' ideas are currently. It is the eradication of Israel. That's the only thing they want. That's the only thing that's currently coming out of them. And when you try to have these sort of like more, in a sense, moderate leaders, they are even worse than the actual evil, because they in a sense put a face on that, oh, it's not as bad. It is. And we shouldn't, in a sense, get blinded by that.
Yeah. Jesse says in the chat, I consider J Street moderate Palestinians. I love that. Um, yeah, those are left wing Israelis are at best moderate Palestinians. Left actually J Street is not Israeli, but they consider the fact that they're Jewish somehow making as something that makes them an authority on this. Soupy Cask says um, that he's considered moderate because he's willing to peacefully negotiate the extermination of the Jews. Yeah, that's the thing here. That's really it's shocking to see the BBC and maybe sorry, Daniel, if you said this because I have been trying to read the news at the same time, but you mentioned that the BBC called him a moderate and you know the fact that they would say that about about a terrorist and would never say that about the leadership of Israel. They wouldn't say that. They wouldn't say that about presumably Trump, who I'm viewers of this channel will know I'm no fan of. But certainly don't put him in the category of the exterminationists who dedicate their whole cause is exterminating the Jews. It's a shocking thing to see. We see this from Alex Crawford in Sky News. We see this from others in Sky News. She's just the figurehead of this. And this is the media. This is the media we get, and then this is how ultimately somebody like this scumbag Prime Minister of Qatar can say what he says and somehow get away with it. Um, even the mention of Trump gets people, even a positive, a relatively positive mention of Trump gets people upset with me. Good, I should mention him more. Jonathan.
Yeah, look, the thing about moderates, it's not a virtue to be a moderate. Even if he is a moderate, it's not good to be a moderate. You want to be good. You want to be radically good. You don't want to be moderately good, right? And this guy is evil, but just generally speaking, you don't want moderates. You want good people, and he's certainly nothing near that. It's incredible to me how much we at Israel try to appease the world, despite how much we see that it doesn't work. It's like we are in this dream that if we just try, if we get the right infographic and show that the missile that Hezbollah launched was actually them and not somebody else, and how it hit the children, we just don't get it. And it's really sad to see our military, the people who are supposed to be experts in this, they don't get it. And it's really, really makes me very pessimistic about our future here, because we still don't understand in what neighborhood we live in. We don't understand what is the nature of this place. We think we can negotiate. We think we can have a deal with Hamas. We maybe have peace with the Saudis. Maybe someday we can have a normalization with Iran if they get a moderate enough of a president. we can just negotiate. Maybe they will only get Tel Aviv and we get to keep Beersheba, something like that, perhaps. So it's I'm trying to bring pessimism here, but if we want to be more happy, the precision of the attack on the Tehran apartment was really something that how did they even do that, Razi? Do you have the story of how it happened? Do we know that? Is it still like, was it something from the air, or was it from the ground? How
So
did it work?
that's the thing. The initial report said it was from a plane from, fired from outside of Iranian airspace. Then more recent reports say it's from a nearby building, both of which would be amazing. From a plane because it's unprecedented for Israel to do that. The only time it did that was in response to 300 missiles being shot, and it was, not at any people. Like no people died, as opposed to a leader in Hamas from a nearby building shows like we already know that Israel has a presence, a strong presence in Iran because Israel has killed people in Iran. But usually it's your, run-of-the-mill drive-by shooting. It's not something like a missile, a rocket from a nearby building. So in either case, if it is one of these, I mean that's amazing. I hope whoever did it, if it is in a nearby building, managed to get out. Uh, oh, I think I don't know if yeah, sorry, this is because of hopefully breaking news. I'm kind of half here because I want that news to break while we're on the air. But um, Daniel, were you saying that Israel should hopefully, if they could do that, why not kill the leaders of Iran in the same way? Um,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
did I respond to that?
I'm not sure, but let me actually add something on that point. So, uh, yeah, there is something unique about while I would prefer, just bomb all of it and, kill as many of the leaders as you can. There is a certain amount of like almost like a fear and uh, basically killing the morale when you do something like that. Like when you show we can kill, I think it was Ismail Haniyeh and his bodyguard. We can precisely kill one person in the heart of a nation if we want. The only reason we don't is Mm,
We're
let's keep that
cowards.
secret. Well, hopefully let's Israel is keeping it secret, but that we can do it. I think there is a certain yeah, I think there is a certain effect this can have. But yeah, uh, go.
But yeah, my comment, if I haven't made it on that, was no. I don't think it would make sense for Israel to kill the leadership of Iran just like that. Because that starts a war. There's no way Iran can not go all out. And if you want to do that, you don't do it that way. You can kill them, but have some other missiles flying at the same time to take out their military and start the actual full-on war yourself rather than say, look, we're just doing assassinations. So yeah, this thing in Syria apparently it was so I again I heard earlier and there's still no confirmation of anything, but Israel apparently bombed some Iranian related place in Syria, which reports are saying might be some sort of assassination attempt. Um, these reports better improve in the next 23 minutes, or I will be very
Yeah,
upset.
I've seen it 2 hours ago as well. I couldn't find anything.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but who the
hopefully,
target is what we want to know. And what is their
yeah.
current condition?
Yeah, I think the people of Iran would have really thanked us if we did more. And this approach of surgically trying to assassinate just the one bad guy, like right after the attack in Beirut, you could have seen swarms of people shouting revenge, revenge, revenge. All of these people are also enemies of Israel. These are Hezbollah supporters or fighters or whatever. It's not like it's just this guy. If we just get rid of this guy, then we'll have peace. It's like We don't get it. We are not the UN. We're not like the US trying to wage a war 2,000, I'm sorry, 10,000 miles away. We're just trying to get the guy who did 9/11 and that's it, we're gone. No, we are in actual existential war and we have to uproot this evil that is taking charge there. It's a huge movement, Hezbollah, and they have a massive amount of missiles targeted at the heart of Israel. And what we're doing is to surgically attack their leaders. Sure, it's nice, it's not a bad thing, but why do they have all these missiles? Why is life in Lebanon still relatively? I know this is a they're in a very bad state there, but why is it still like ongoing? Why do they have power in in most of the country? Why their life is normal while our lives, the people of the people of Israel, especially in the north, has been disturbed so much by these guys' impotence? Why are we letting this happen? Where's the justice there? There is no justice.
Uh, Let me just quickly read some stuff from the news. It is a big news day. Netanyahu just spoke and said very little, as far as I can tell. Yeah. As I did, I mention this during one of the shows, or did I mention this in the production meeting? I mentioned that Netanyahu likes to do these press conferences when something good happens because he can take credit, and he deserves credit in this case for a couple of successful operations. Of course, he didn't take responsibility for what happened in Tehran. That's fine. A Hamas senior official says that they says we don't want war, but we will punish and we will surprise
Don't want
Israel.
war.
That's yeah, it's great. They don't want
They
war
can
after the
surrender. They can surrender. Lay down their weapons and come like that, and we will end the war happily.
Again, there is a war and they started it, and yeah, it will hopefully end with the end of Hamas and more. And Hezbollah says that well, they're confirming Shukur's death, which they haven't done up until now, and they say their position on it will be revealed tomorrow in Nasrallah's speech. You know what would make great television? But it's not going to happen. Nasrallah's speeches are always recorded, and recorded from whatever bunker he's been living in for the past few decades. But still, one can hope. Daniel.
Yeah, I could imagine that would be. I would actually be really happy with the fact that Elon Musk took over X, because I would really like to see that video, and it will probably just stay on X, so I wouldn't have to dig deep with it. But yeah, I mean, what else is there to really say? Like, I mean, you mentioned that there's been some bombing in Syria, so I really hope there's gonna be something more. We know Hamas leaders are basically like all over the place. We know some are in Qatar, somewhere in Lebanon. I think in the past Israel has struck some Hamas leaders in Lebanon. Some are in Gaza. Some have been in Iran. So yeah, they should. I think it's really good. Basically, yeah, strike at any place they are, and hopefully you'll get them. Maybe something more that I was thinking about, the idea of um these precise strikes. So something that I think was different is when there was a assassination, or basically a bombing where Mohammed Deif was supposedly, that was a big bombing. And I think one reason maybe why maybe he's unique, because he sort of has this sort of almost like legendary status of always sort of avoiding these deaths. So maybe that's why basically we haven't had sort of the confirmation from Hamas, which we did have for this one really quickly. Maybe one benefit of these sort of precise tracks is you can actually tell really well if this has been done, which is something you are less sure when it comes to these big bombings. So
Well, yeah.
yeah. No, go.
Although if you destroy their military capabilities, even if one Mohammed Deif survives, he deserves to die, but he alone is not going to fight the war. And if he tries to, you'll know when you get him. So, but yeah, I still, support these assassination attempts, and I'm okay with not necessarily having confirmation because it's it's a bit more difficult. Iran is a country, it's a state. It has this whole apparatus of a state. And it's even though it's a totalitarian regime, it's much more difficult not to to pretend that things aren't happening when they're happening. So and yeah, again, it was so precise and it was nearly impossible to deny. Thank you, Jonathan, for the super chat. There was a couple of comments in the
Uh,
chat.
just
Yeah.
quickly, Clementine is asking, is Mohammed Dave alive? So as far as we believe, he is dead. He was killed, but the Hamas is basically never confirmed it. We never got a confirmation from the other side, and I'm not sure what is the confirmation status of Israel if they do claim he's dead or yeah, are basically just giving the information. We bombed the hell out of the place he was at, so he's most likely dead, but we there's too many places he's in currently, so we cannot confirm all of them.
Yeah, and the comment in the chat saying Def is said to have 9 souls. Apparently, it was only 8 because this was, he didn't make the ninth attempt. We also have a question. Why was Netanyahu not brave enough to declare the responsibility over the assassination? I think Netanyahu is a coward, but I don't think in this case this is an instance of his cowardice. This is actually one of the better moments Netanyahu-wise because, if it's not being revealed there's a reason for that. And we don't need to know all the reasons. We don't need to know all the details. We just need the job done. Israel talks too much. It talks, it cares what other people are saying. Stop
Yeah.
talking. Just do it. And we'll live happily with the results.
Yeah,
I
I
think
think sorry, Jonathan. I don't think Israel should ever basically say we are behind this. Keep everything secret. Oh, something happened. We don't know what happened.
Does it?
Maybe it malfunctioned. Maybe Allah, divine intervention. We don't know what happened. I don't see a reason for Israel basically uh to confirm any of these the fact that it has done it. Uh it's nice for us to know that Israel is capable of that, but it's not really us who Israel has to appease when it comes to conducting the war. The more happens, we are more glad. We don't need basically to know the fact that Israel is doing more.
Yeah, it's I was thinking about this with the precision thing. I don't think any war was won with precision. If you think about the great wars like World War II, Korea, the Korean War wasn't won, right? World War One was also not won. Which war was a good example? World War Two. There was no precision there, right? They bombed everything. They just bombed everything, and that's how you defeat an enemy. You don't defeat it by just surgically removing all the Nazis. If you only killed everyone in Berlin, then you will still have a Germany fighting you, right? They'll put different people. So you have to kill everybody that's fighting on the field. You have to occupy it. You have to clear it. You have to flatten it. You have to establish military bases, perhaps settlements in Gaza, whatever is necessary to defeat the enemy. That's what needs to be done. Not to be precise. It's nice to have, not a must. It's definitely much more expensive. I need to pay more taxes. It's just it's unnecessary. We can just use cheaper weapons as our enemies do and be much more effective. What did you say then about? I wanted to comment. Uh,
Israel talks too much and it shouldn't
yeah, that,
reveal.
that point. Yeah, like Israel is Peter Keating. If you read the Fountainhead, Peter Keating is a guy who only cares about.
spoiler alert.
But it's not really a spoiler. He cares about what people think. He wants to be an architect because his mother wants him to be an architect. He wants to design building like that because that's what is popular in society. That's what people approve of. So we do it like that. And Israel is doing very, very much the same. We are trying to engage in this weird, altruistic, sacrificial warfare because we think that will please the world, and it doesn't, by the way. But we try to do everything from that perspective. Instead of being narcissistic, Israel should actually be focused on being good instead of appearing good. Narcissism is about appearing good. We need to be good. And being good means not to sacrifice your population. It means to protect your population, doing whatever is necessary. It means to prevent the killing of the future Israelis by doing everything that's necessary. That's what it means to be a good country. And we have no conception of that. It's so far away from that. You look at the media here. What they talk about is what the international media is saying, what the BBC is saying, what will our enemies say, what will the protesters say, what will these guys say? Well, who cares what they'll say? They'll say whatever they want.
Yeah, and I want to say, like, people often think the alternative to a Peter Keating, like, caring, basically designing your life about whatever random people think about you, is not, I don't care what anybody thinks about me. I think, people are a value, even to a country, other countries are a value. It's, you want certain people to have a good opinion of you because they will be a value of you if they have a good opinion of you and you have a good opinion of them. But Israel has supporters who have given up on Israel because of how apologetic it is, because of how it seemingly doesn't care what its supporters think of it. It only cares what those who want to exterminate the Jews think of it. And that is the Peter Keating approach. Thank you, Gail, for the super chat. This is a good super chat day, almost as good as when we talk about Candace Owens. So let's hope more terrorists are killed
Because it's
or
a positive topic, Razi. We
yeah,
need more
like
positive.
Candace. Yeah, it's because we were thinking we would have to talk about Candace every day. Luckily, sometimes terrorists have accidents or whatever happened there. Thank you, Ari, for the super chat. Ari says, the Quran will still be there after these boys are gone until Sheikh Razi Ghenzala Ahmed becomes president of Kazakhstan and creates a civilized society after total surrender. The finest hour will last only that long. I don't know if you mean me. There is actually a Razi Ahmed in the Hamas leadership, right? There is somebody with that name. But no, I will not be a sheikh, and I will my plan. I will announce when I'm raising funds for my Nova Hotel Resort Casino in Gaza, but we'll have to some things will have to change there before that happens. Um, did I have something else to say? I don't remember.
I wanna just quickly point out or do like a funny anecdote. So someone says a couple of anti-Zionists, and I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Meshugem, are here. And a funny thing about that word, apparently I just learned it's from Yiddish and it means something like a crazy person or something. And I learned I actually do know that word. I had it in my vocabulary when I was growing up. We used Meshugem for someone who is crazy. And I was wondering, how do I know that? I don't know how, but so we had like a Jewish town or like a we have a synagogue in my small town, and we had unfortunately, we had Jewish families living here. Of course, after what happened during the World War, we no longer do. But I think from that time, somehow, basically, Meshuggah had stayed in either my family or sort of my area as in a vocabulary. So I think that's just like an interesting anecdote.
Yeah, so I don't know if that means at any time soon we will be told to go back to Slovakia, but presumably. Thank you, Ari, for another super chat. Ari says Judaism completely prohibits human sacrifice in the name of Allah, of Jews or anyone. Um, yeah, I mean, look, reason prohibits that, and yeah, we should not sacrifice any humans, but we should get rid of the ones who want to sacrifice us.
Mm, yeah. It's interesting what you said, Dan. It's pronounced it's Meshuga, and in Yiddish it's Meshigene. So which version is that? It's a Hebrew, it's probably the Yiddish one, right? So it's a Meshigene.
So when I pronounce it, we always did it Meshuggah, but maybe it got like sort of like,
Yeah.
changed a little bit.
Well, that definitely is cultural appropriation. By the way, yeah, I do see that we have, some we have different types of trolls. We have the just Free Palestine, PLO flag trolls. We have some that are full on Nazis. One of them is saying, "Come get me, Mossad." Yeah, Mossad, what they want is people in their basement going on Zionist Hasbara podcasts and
Yeah. You wish you were that
talking
important.
about killing the Jews.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um
Yeah, nobody thinks about you in the Mossad. Nobody.
Yeah, and I'm sure he is using his real name, of course, as trolls always do. Uh, yeah, and people upset with me for mentioning Candace. Look, she's an important figure in our culture. So from time to time, she will be brought up. By the way, because of because of how big a story this is, and how I think we're gonna see more. We're going to see all sorts of fallout from it even before we see any serious terrorism and or military action. uh but yeah, we are looking at how major cultural figures respond to this. I just looking at Twitter see all these people. It's particularly amazing when they no longer have, with Palestinians, they can't, but they still say, "Oh, it's an open air prison. They broke out, and so on." Whereas here, they're trying to they're siding with Iran, and they're siding with Lebanon, and they're siding with any dictatorship that wants to kill Jews, and it's somehow still not anti-Semitism. And but we are, we're following what's going on, and we will call out these people, no matter who they are, because it's important. It's important to see why the culture is shifting in that direction. It's also important to listen to what they say, listen to what they say on other things, and then tell me, are these people genuinely concerned about humans who are suffering, or are these people who want to see human suffering? And I think the closer you will look at them, the more you will see that it is the latter. And
Yeah, all these are anti-human movements, and we see the same with the Greens, by the way. There are, I was asked by somebody, how do you explain that all the Greens are now pro-Palestine? They were essentially, they like koalas, they like nice environment. How could they now be for mass murder and rape? And the simple answer is that they are anti-human. They are anti-Western civilization. They are anti-freedom. They are anti-reason. So Israel stands for all that. So of course they are for the destruction of Israel, and not necessarily because they are specifically have a problem with Jews, but I would presume that it is the problem. Probably they also have an issue with Jews, but generally speaking, they're anti-human.
yes, I agree. And Uh, Best Monster asks, what do you guys think about Tommy Robinson? I'm not a fan. This is not the way. His way is not the way that you fight for reason. He is against something bad. Being against something bad does not make you good. And I think Tommy Robinson is one of the better examples of that. Yeah. Being anti-Islam is, to me, it's like being anti-woke. I've mentioned on this show years ago there was a, a mayoral election in London, and we have a mayor that I'm not a fan of, and I was looking at who I might want to vote for, and I one of them was, is it Lawrence Fox, the name of that actor? And so I tune into some video of him explaining his candidacy, and the first thing he says is, I'm an anti-woke candidate." And I thought, I'm not voting for that. Why? Like he immediately lost my vote at that point because he's not telling me what he's for. He's just telling me that he's against something that yeah, I agree is bad, but there are things that are bad that are not woke. There are things that are bad that are not Islam. And if you don't have a positive vision, then and if you identify your ideology or your work as anti something, then you don't think you have something positive to offer, then yeah, I'm not buying. Daniel.
I mean, maybe to wrap up, someone in the chat says 109 countries hate Israel, and I'm not sure where that number is from, if from some UN resolution or just generally. But my question would be, what are those countries? And what are their stances on women rights, on gay rights, on generally individual rights? How modern are they? How civilized are they? And the answer would probably be not much. And my question would be, why should Israel ever care about what these nations think about it? Like when you have moral confidence, when you have just general confidence in yourself, even as a person, do you care what some people who are completely terrible in their life or are bad people or are just failures? Why would you care what they say about you if you do have actual confidence?
Um, Is the person who said 109 countries hate Israel the same guy who just said Noam Chomsky is Mossad? Because sometimes the trolls say things. Yeah, that is a valid question. Who are the 109 countries? Most countries in the world are disgusting dictatorships that we should be worried if they're on our side on anything. But yeah, also most of the people in the chat typically who don't like us are not humanities. Oh, it's a different troll. But yeah, they're not humanities finest. As you can see, we like keeping them around because they help with the algorithm. But yeah, they're not the brightest.
Oh, just to jump in, apparently 109 is a Nazi symbol. So at least some people in the chat say that. So yeah, might as well use that one if you're talking about Israel.
Trying to think why it's a Nazi symbol.
Yeah, I also don't know. But anyway,
Apparently, it's how many times Jews supposedly have been expelled from European principalities and countries.
Yeah, we're big troublemakers. Look, if you stack up a bunch, as Ayn Rand said, you stack up a bunch of zeros, you still get a zero. So you can give me 200 zeros and it still doesn't amount to anything. These are countries, these are terrible places to live. You don't want to live there. People don't cross the border there, risking their lives because they want to live there, right? Because it's so great. It doesn't happen. People are running away from these countries, so they can say whatever they want. They're zeros. They're irrelevant. They wish they were as interesting as Israel. What did we say? Conclusion?
yes, although I do want to check, Daniel, you're saving all this, right? Because we have some really good. Yeah, today the trolls are working overtime. They've lost two of their leaders. Are we saving this for Sunday's episode of the reality show Extra, where we're gonna read trolls' comments? I think we might. That might be the longest show in the channel's history, but there is some stuff here that deserves to be read behind a paywall.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it, right? We say this is the end, Risey. You say where people go. Yeah.
Well, if you have any parting comments, then you can include
Well,
that and
my
then
part.
tell us.
Yes. Thank you. My parting comments are uh all these trolls, all these evil people, they can say whatever they want. Nobody cares. It doesn't stand against the good. I've seen the video footage, some of the video footage from October 7th. There was a beautiful documentary about the death shelter. I don't know if you should see that one, Razi. And it's incredible how much of a cowards these people are. They're against poor people who just they're drugged, they escape to that shelter, hiding from the terrorists, and they are afraid to enter inside. They keep throwing grenades, and there was a hero there called Anar Shapira who kept throwing out the grenades. And the terrorists, you see how they run away and how much they hide for like more than an hour. They could not even stand up against poor drugged party goers. So they're cowards, and their end is coming. So you can say whatever you want. Nobody cares.
And where can people find you? Not
And people,
physically, I mean, if find your work.
they can find me in Tel Aviv. And the work, you go to philosophyIneeded.com, link in the description.
Daniel, parting thoughts, where can people find you?
I mean, so just to sort of like maybe get back and to comment on the idea that Jews have been expelled from these many places and the fact that neo-Nazis use it as, well, maybe they've done something wrong if they've been expelled so many times. One thing to remember is when it came to Middle Ages, almost everyone had bad philosophy. Everyone was pretty much bad. It doesn't matter what used to be in the past. What matters is what is now, and comparably, who is better right now. Israelis have so much better philosophy currently, even though lacking in many places, have so much better philosophy of life and a philosophy when it comes to how they govern their nation than whatever you can find in Middle East. Comparably, they are much more civilized and much more better. Whatever they were in the past, and again, I'm not in a sense judging either way. I don't know that much about history of sort of how Jews moved around Europe. Whatever even happened in the past doesn't matter. What is now and how do we move forward from now? That is what matters. And Israel is the civilized country in the Middle East, the only civilized countries in the Middle East.
And if you're not convinced by listening to us or watching us, you might be convinced by reading us. The Ayn Rand Center UK Substack launches today with an article by Marco. We also have upcoming articles by others, including Nikos. There's a Nikos original coming soon. And some of those, the originals will be behind a paywall. Some of the stuff won't be behind a paywall. That paywall is not that high, and it is included in memberships through the website of the gold level and above, and YouTube Inner Circle memberships. So make sure you go over, sign up, even if it's just as a subscriber, and you will get great content. If you sign up as a paid subscriber, you will get even more great content. Thanks everybody for watching, and we will be back tomorrow with the Daily Objective and the reality show. See you then.
Thank you.